Okay, welcome to Talks on
Thanks, Brandt.
Creativity Innovation, where we help you move up and not just on. My guest today is Elizabeth Viljoen. She's a Toastmaster, she's an entrepreneur, she's a writer, she's a go-getter, and all-round awesome person. She's currently residing in New Zealand, but she comes from Namibia, and we're going to talk about innovation and what she's been up to lately. Elizabeth, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Brandt.
Now, you started recently a project called Celebrate New Zealand. Can you tell me a bit about that?
The word cerebrate means to think deeply. And that's something that I love doing. And I love to talk to people about ideas and the ideas behind ideas, even. So it's a bit of a philosophical idea. But what I want to do is to get people talking about their lives, talking about their ideas, and talking about problems behind the ideas and solutions to the problems.
I think being solution focused is a very important thing. Now, having experienced deep thinking and innovation and technology in a developed country and a developing country, what are the key differences that you have found between events like this, ideas like thinking about ideas between two countries so diverse?
Well, because I come from a developing country, I experienced that the knowledge base is maybe not that big, but you become very creative because you have nothing to start with. And when you do something, you start with a small idea and you see it through. You do the whole project. You find your own developing country or developed country. Very often you work on an idea and you collaborate, which is good. But very often you only allow yourself to think in a very small box. You can only do this, and you need other people to develop this part and this part and this part because of collaboration, which is a good thing, but you only focus on your strengths.
Right.
So your skill set is very focused and very good, but very limited. You don't need to develop all the other skills.
But I just think that tends to limit one's thinking if you only focus on what's right in front of you instead of all the things that you could possibly do.
Yes. So they are very knowledgeable and educated about what they are doing, but they think in very specific areas and not in they don't often see the bigger context.
I have found that having such a diverse range of skills helps you solve problems easier because you're not just looking at it from a perspective of an IT engineer or a publisher or an athlete or whatever. There's so many things happening all around you in different fields. If you don't become a Swiss Army knife of reasoning or thinking, you're going to only see the problem and not the potential solutions. So I say that it's very important to have a diverse range of skills. And I think that's what we touched on now, is that in developed countries such as New Zealand or possibly anywhere else, you are what you are, and you're not really allowed to move beyond the restrictive boundaries of what you studied or what you were asked to be.
Yes, there are people who are thinking in bigger pictures and moving beyond that. But very often I found that that's a problem for some people, that they can't think outside a very small box.
And that's unfortunately a problem, which is why we need people to teach creative thinking. Because everybody wants to become an innovative company without really understanding what that means. And part of innovation is creativity. You need to think more creatively to become more innovative.
Yes, yes. But on the other hand, there are still more products getting developed and ideas getting developed in New Zealand because it's a larger economy than you can get in a developing country where there's just, you can only go that far. And you only have a certain knowledge. You can go beyond that knowledge, but you also struggle. It takes years sometimes to develop the knowledge.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of people, why they become unhappy in their jobs is because of the mundaneness of it. They're the same in, same out, every day the same thing. And I think if we want to enjoy employee retention, we need to allow them to experience different things.
Yes. The other day, someone said to me that they often find that people move to a higher level in a company, but they never develop new skills. So they're
Failing
moving up,
upwards.
but they're failing upwards. That's
Yeah.
exactly the word. They're failing
Myself
upwards.
and Dr. Van Dijk actually developed something called the Creative Leadership Matrix, the Authentic Creative Leadership Matrix, where we outlined that. I'll put it up on the screen at some point, but it's that you get people that have a lot of knowledge and the people that have a lot of experience, right? So the best is when you combine those two, the knowledge and the experience. But if you only have the experience and not any knowledge of anything else, and you get promoted beyond your experience, you're going to fail. If you get promoted beyond your knowledge and only your experience, you're going to fail. You have to have a combination of both.
Yes.
So that's why it's important to allow people to be diverse and enjoy different skills.
Yes. And I also think that you stimulate different areas of your brain when you develop skills, and that makes you even more creative. But it can be overwhelming at times. I experience it myself, that I'm very often overwhelmed by things that I know I need to learn to do what I want to do now. But I don't have the skill sets or the knowledge at the moment. And then sometimes you feel anxious because it feels overwhelming that you just need to learn too much. And it would be far easier just to focus on a very small part of an idea.
Some people are happy to do that, just stay in the area that they are. Now, that's fine if you don't want to move beyond what you can see, beyond your four walls. But life is such an interesting concept, such an interesting experience that if we don't look beyond our immediate circumstances, we never really develop.
Yes.
Now tell me about your experience with Celebrate. How is it going?
Well, I still enjoy the idea, but I found that in smaller countries like New Zealand, where the population is not that big and it's an extrovert community, you cannot just market something on the internet. You need to know people in real life. So networking is a very important part of what I need to do now. I need to get to know more people, and when they trust me, they will maybe support me and buy more tickets. But unless they know me as a person, the idea is not palatable. And they will not support it. While if I was a well-known actor and I started the same idea, people will just come and support it because they don't want to miss out. But I find it interesting, and I'm someone offered a course in networking to me, and I said to them, I've only been in New Zealand for 3 months, but I know so many people. I don't think I struggle to network.
Yeah, I think networking is not that difficult, but it's utilizing those networks. That's where it comes in. It's someone told me once that a friend is only a friend if you can use them, and that sounds terrible, but it's true. I mean, the reason why we have friends is to expand our horizons, to help us out. So I think
Yes.
that one of the reasons of networking is to expand your influence. It's not just expanding your influence by one person, but hopefully gaining enough support of all their followers to add to your own.
Yes. And that's where social media is very interesting, because if you connect with someone on LinkedIn, then you get their whole network as as an added bonus.
Mm.
The bigger problem is that it's a relationship, whether it's on social media or in real life, and you need to constantly build on that. And when you move to a new country, sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. You don't know where to start. So you network here and you network there and you network here and you network there. And you don't connect the dots yet for a while. And the that you start to think strategically, you have to take a step back and not think about yourself, but about your customers and their needs, or about other people's needs. The other day, I went to a Toastmasters meeting and I said to them, I have nothing to offer you. I'm just here to network, because that's the speech I need to give next time. And the next day, I went to another tech networking event and there was someone looking for a job. And I thought to myself, but the corporate club is exactly where he needs to connect. So I can connect them. It's not helping me. I still
Yeah,
don't get a job from that, but I'm building relationships. And even though it will not help me in the short term, maybe it will help me in the long term.
yeah,
So strategic thinking is a very complex thing, and especially when you have to start from scratch. When you grow up, you would know, because you also immigrated. When you grow up in a place, then you went to school with a bank manager. You went to school with the big corporate company people, and you know them by name.
yeah.
But now you immigrate to a new country, and they are already on the level where you can't reach them now. You need to build up to where you can call them by name, or at least they know your name.
Yeah, that's because I did it sort of in reverse because I went from New Zealand to Namibia. I mean, I've been everywhere else before that, but that's interesting because I found that a developed country tends to stifle creativity and creative thinking quite a lot. And I mean, it's just why I stay in Namibia is because I can do so much more. The Food is Free project, the creativity conferences, the uh, I became a professional speaker, all kinds of things that I was able to do that would not have been able to do in a developed country because my boundaries would have been set. But I think doing it the way that you have, coming from the developing into the developed country, it gives you more um, it gives you a better perspective of what you can accomplish beyond what you see, and I think that's really important.
What I find very frustrating at the moment is that I come to a country which I see as developed with more money and more resources. And I think that the opportunities are endless. And then I talk to people here and they think the opportunities are limited. And I can't say how it's limited.
I know what you mean. I When you talk to New Zealanders, they don't consider themselves a developed country.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's like when you grow up and you always think you're ugly, and people keep telling you you're not ugly, but you think you're ugly, so no one's going to tell you that you're not. It's very much a middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
Uh, also because you never had to struggle.
Mm.
It was always easy. You just can't see that. And because it's easy, you don't need to think as creative as you would have had to think if you had nothing. If
Yeah.
you really started from nothing.
One of the previous interviews that I did with a chef, that she says sometimes to be creative in her cooking, she needs to limit her resources. So that really develops her creative thinking, because now she can only use this. So what possible combinations you can come up with to actually get to a meal that's palatable and consumable and doesn't taste too bad. So I think that's an important thing, to limit our resources at some point to focus on what we can possibly do.
Yes. But again, there are enough people here who can make things work and make things work well, because there are the resources and there are the academic background that you need. So if you can overcome your own limited seeing, then you can accomplish quite a bit. Where maybe in a developing country, you've got a fantastic idea, but you can only take it up to a certain level because there's just nothing more you can accomplish without the resources.
Yeah.
And that might be very frustrating for a creative person.
So do you feel that your creative thinking has improved since developing Celebrate, and since you've done your podcast on women in Namibia and time
I
in New Zealand?
love learning, so I always think that I'm learning new things, and I always know that I think very creatively, because the more you learn, the more you can think. I also need to overcome my fear of going from learning to implementing.
Mm.
That's a bigger problem for me, and it's not always a fear, it's a comfort zone. It's very comforting learning, but implementing means that you actually need to show the world what you can do, and that's scary.
It is scary. Putting yourself out there, doing things that you didn't think you could do or would have ever done. It's scary at first because, we fear the unknown. But
Yes.
I mean, it's like, well done on doing all these things. It's actually quite impressive and very incredible.
Oh, I need to tell you something else. I talked to a friend of mine, and she had a blister on the top of her hand, and I asked her, where did you get that? And she said, from making food in the oven. And I said to her, but it's never happened to me. How are you able to burn yourself in the oven? And she said, well, you need to cook to actually burn your hand.
Yeah. That's like my sister-in-law also says, if she doesn't burn her hands or burn something, she hasn't done a good job at cooking. It's like you have to sacrifice for your art, sort of a thing.
You have to sacrifice for your art, and you need to decide what are you willing to sacrifice. I don't want blisters on my hands, and I really hate cooking. And my husband's a very good cook, so I don't even need to go there. But it's the same with anything creative that you do. You do get blisters. You do get emotional dips. And I've gone through an emotional dip last week. The only thing is you need to decide, is this something you want enough to grow beyond that fear or grow beyond that dip? Or are you going to get stuck in the mud?
Right.
I got stuck in the mud today.
Oh,
literally. Emotionally.
So basically, if you want to be more creative, you need to put up with some blisters. You need to put up with some people that's not going to see value in your idea. And I think that's an important lesson and a good takeaway. So Elizabeth, I think that's us. Our time is up now. Thank you very much for joining this episode of Imagineering. Well done on all your efforts. Continue to excel, and thank you for just being awesome.
Thank you for being so creative and thinking of new ideas to put people out there and show the world what creativity is about.
Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel, to the Brandt
I will.
YouTube channel, and I will release this video.
I probably
soon.
already also subscribed.
I don't know. But
I'll check quickly.
okay. So yes, and enjoy the rest of your evening, because it's now what, 7 o'clock or something like that there. Nearly 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a bit later. It's now 12 minutes to 8.
So enjoy your evening, go enjoy the morning, and celebrate your creativity and innovative efforts.
And celebrate.
Thank you very much.